Our next guest, I'm very, very excited. Everyone watching will have seen her yesterday. Her name is Kath Clark. Around the office, she got the nickname Lightning Kath because we had a couple of cats in the summit and she was doing our lightning talk. So I am announcing publicly that she has a nickname that she did not know that she had. Her name is Kath Clark. She is, her professional life experience stints in marketing, coaching, sales, brand strategy, leadership training. None of this will surprise you if you saw her talk yesterday because she was fantastic. Like many of us, the pandemic really forced Kath to think about what matters to her, what she didn't want to do anymore, and she wrapped up brand marketing consultancy rather. She took the advice that she would often give business owners and focused on the aspect of her skill set that no one else could do, which is not referencing Finding Nemo on stage, although that was quite spectacular as well. The element that had the greatest impact on her clients. It was also the part that she enjoyed the most and kept her in the flow. So she focuses on helping people articulate their unique contribution, which is absolutely fantastic. We are obsessed with it. Welcome, Kath. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, with my little, burns victim hand. Hooray! This one doesn't work very well. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a voyage to get here. Hello, Trang. How are you? Great to meet you yesterday.
Congratulations on your amazing lightning talk yesterday. Now, for those of you who weren't aware, we did something very special this year because we have so many amazing members and we often talk about it, how often there's so much talent and so much knowledge to tap into. And we ran a competition that allowed members to submit their own proposal for a lightning talk. Kath's lightning talk, which I'm sure most of you saw yesterday, was absolutely brilliant. Kath, a little bit of a recap for anyone who didn't watch live. Can you tell us a little bit about what your lightning talk was about, and then tell me what it was like being on the stage again?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long journey from the COVID really did. I'm in Melbourne too on Warrendar Land, and it really did screw with my mind. Actually, quite surprisingly, I don't cope well being locked up. So I joined Project Return to get my confidence back and sort of relaunch. So being on the stage again yesterday was just phenomenal and such an up level for me. Like I was seriously freaking out on was it Monday morning. I texted my partner. I'm like, oh my god, I so don't belong in this sitting next to Susan Coyle. Like for God's sake.
Belong, and you were there, and you were getting comments coming through that you were transformative, that people can only imagine the impact that you have on clients. So you belong.
I'm so sorry. I think the nickname Lightning Kath has caught on. I apologize.
I love it. It actually personality, so I'm actually fine with that.
I was on stage yesterday and I was thinking that it really suited you. It was like, bloody lightning.
And do you know what? I'm normally even more animated than that. Like last time I talked, everyone said to me afterwards, are you actually a comedian in another life as well? And I was like, no, I'm not. The other thing was quite mellow, actually. Quite funny. But so what my talk was about, so I don't know if I answered Helen's question very effectively afterwards. I wish I'd answered it better. Essentially, what really drives me is getting each and every individual to truly own their uniqueness, which sounds simple, but because if you can't articulate what it is, it's actually really hard to sort of re-embody it. There's something about being able to say it on the outside that allows you to be it. And I looked around that room yesterday and the day before, and I just thought, if we all weren't stuck in this, I just don't know how to say this without, I mean, it might sound uninformed, I don't know, but I'm just going to shoot from the hip. If we weren't all stuck having these conversations that society, like the structures seem to make us have to have, like if we could just get over all the bullshit and get to the point where we could all just harness our uniqueness and come up with really innovative answers, I just feel like we could just skip it all, like I just want it all to go faster. That was why I was so pumped about the accelerate topic. So yeah, so what I talked about yesterday was really ripping off the labels. Like, there are things that are sort of systemically stopping us from making our impact quickly. So let's not just sit in imposter syndrome, like seriously, just rip the Band-Aid off, ladies and gents and all people, and just get on with making your impact, because no one else is coming to save you. That's what I got really clear on in lockdown. No one's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves.
It's so true, Kath. It's particularly everyone who's sat and listened to those daily pressers will be like, no one's coming. We're going to have to do it on our own.
Yeah.
Kath, it's a great comment from the community about what you were just talking about. Someone said, putting your own uniqueness into words is really hard without sounding like and I think it's a word that rhymes with banker. But I'm not going to say it. But you can kind of guess what they're saying. And I think you found a way to do that really well. And I have to confess, Kath, that when everyone started referring to you as Lightning Kath, I didn't get the memo, but I was just assuming that you were the person they were referring to because I love it. And then later it was like, oh yeah, Lightning Kath from the Lightning. And then it clicked to me because I'm the last person to get the inside joke, right, in the group. So
you got up very early. Be nice to yourself. You had a really early day.
Yeah. I totally relate to that. I'm the queen of metaphors. I checked into the hospital the other day and I said I couldn't fill out the form and I said two brains are better to change a light bulb or something like that. God, I just sat there staring at each other and said, I'm equally as slow at times, It's all right. Everything's moving so fast in there that you have to.
Yeah. Thank you, because I appreciate that support. I want to ask you, right? You talk about wanting to focus on the parts of life that matter, right? And the pandemic happened. COVID hasn't gone away, but the response has shifted, and the pandemic reshaped life for a lot of us as people with work, with families, with priorities. What was the underlying catalyst that had you going, yeah, I need to be doing something else. I've done all this stuff, but this path, that's not my life anymore. Was there a pin drop or a light bulb moment for you, or was it just accumulation over time where you were just like, I've got to get out?
Well, it's an excellent question, and thank you for making me reflect on that. Regardless of the pandemic, about every 2 or 3 years, I go through a massive up level, either self-enforced, like forcing myself to, or the universe makes me do it. And the last one I did was 2018, just after my divorce, and I had a huge up level and started my marketing consultancy properly and had some great clients. I think there was a couple of things going on at the start of lockdown. I was actually going really, really well. I had a team of 3 or 4 people. But what had happened was that I'd actually let some of my team members let my business drift off towards servicing them more than it was servicing me anymore. And not that it needed to service me. But the thing was, what I realized was, like, where's the disconnect? In the sales calls I was having with clients, I was creating this vision for them. And because I used to be really good at writing Facebook ad copy, so I'm really interested in human psychology and I'm good at copywriting because I'm so interested and curious in that. And when I'd have these sales calls with them, I'd paint this vision of like what, because I just hear all their passion and excitement, and I'd get these bits and something would happen, this puzzle picture would start to formulate in my mind, and then the copy would start to come to me. And and they'd buy into this vision because it was what I saw for them. I just see it so clearly for other people. And then they'd get off the phone and they'd come into my marketing membership to start doing practical implementation stuff, and something would happen and they would sort of become discontent after a period of time and not do the work. And I'm like, why aren't you, like, it's all there, all the training videos, what's going on? And that's when I realized they are buying into the vision that I hold for them rather than wanting to actually tactically do the work and get going. They just wanted vision and accountability and someone to believe in them. So that dropped. And so we gently departed ways. I suggested to all my clients, maybe you should save some money. And also my business was in this real bro kind of culture of marketing and gurus. And I was just like, who am I to coach you guys through a pandemic? No one in this century has ever gone through that. I don't know. So I'm going to let you guys go with grace. You need your money. I need to just sort of take a minute and go, I don't actually like this industry that I'm operating in. So I'm going to step back. And that's when I spent 2 years basically sort of cultivating what and breaking down and objectively observing my creative process to realize that what I was doing in the sales calls is exactly now what I do in the Impact Alchemy, but in far more depth. So it was a few things. It was a bit of a personal crisis and an integrity crisis, essentially. Yeah.
We have a really good question from the community, Kath, following on from that. And thank you for that. That's such a comprehensive and such a candid answer. And one of the things I loved from your talk yesterday was how candid you were. Like you had an incredible energy, and I could really see what people who were getting coached and guided by you, what they would get out of it, and the power of your candor. If you can be that upfront about yourself, then bloody put me in a room with you. With this question here from a Facebook.
Energy type, because
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about lightning again. Yeah, we're talking about lightning. We've got a question here, which I actually love. It's Kath, how do you deal with people you don't like? I find it really hard not to say something.
Oh, yes. So another great question. I actually used to do it poorly because I'm a massive BS caller. And because I don't mind, like I'm the type of person that if you're not enjoying the conversation with me, just say it, like, and we're out, and like, great, no one's wasting each other's time, that's all good. So I don't mind if people treat me that way. And for a long time, I had a bit of foot and mouth where I sort of didn't realize that other people were much more sensitive and I should be a little bit more careful. So now the way I deal with it is actually not in so much in the moment, but much more about my energy management. So I think that everybody's got some sort of pendulum swing that they do from, for me, mine's like complete imposter syndrome, lacking self-confidence, oh my God, comparisonitis, right through to a little bit OTT crazy, might get the occasional, actually I probably shouldn't say that, but like just going a little bit nuts.
Live censoring yourself in real
right there. That's the other end of the pendulum swing. So yeah, and so I just do a bit of visualization and energy clearing work during the day to make sure I'm not in other people's vibes and not actually taking on other people's stuff, and that just sort of keeps me in my power center as much as I possibly can. So things like when I get off an aeroplane, I'll just do a bit of a thing to make sure I haven't picked up anyone else's chi. So then when people are annoying me, I'm very tactful about it, and I just also think that if it's not good for me, it's not good for them. So let's both let us off the hook,
I love that. And I actually, this is Tarang, I'm hogging the questions and I'm aware of it, but it's International Women's Day. Give me love.
And Sally's father, good town.
I was just talking then about finding your unique value proposition or your unique selling point, and you were saying every few years you like to shake things up, and I was just thinking about the fact that if that were me, I would probably judge myself and I would say, I'm so frustrating, I cannot commit to something, I can't do it for more than 3 years, God, I'm hopeless, I just want to sit down and be able to commit to this good lofty career. And this is more of a comment than a question actually, which is typical Sally style. But I just love how you actually framed that positively, because as you were talking, I could just hear all of the internal self-judgment that I would talk to myself if that were me, because I have changed jobs a couple of times in the last few years, and that really resonated with me. And I was listening to you and thinking, God, I would love to be able to reframe it that way. Like that's incredible. How do you do that?
Well, I'll tell you, and this would be great for you to know, is like, how on the slides I had the women up there with the joy igniter, the flow container, all of these like funny little woo-woo names that we give them instead of the labels. So for example, with Sarah, when she realized she was the joy igniter, she wants to be a coach. She's a really revered university professor in New Zealand. She has a whole bunch of other hobbies, but the thing is, the energy that she brings, the genius that she brings, it's like the vibe that people buy from her that she doesn't even realize she's selling is being the joy igniter. So now she just goes into any situation knowing that that's her power center. So I'm here to spark joy wherever I go, and she just lights up little connections or whatever. So you get to accept the fact that you are because you're not your job, you're you. And it's just bringing your genius to actually whatever you're doing. And so that's what allowed me in lockdown to go, okay, so, I'm in my mind, I just try and stay in the space of courageous expansion. Like, where's the next opportunity? How can I expand myself? How can I get myself out of my comfort zone? And I'm pretty good at pattern identification and stuff like that too. So now I know about that. I just look for opportunities to put that genius wherever it can go. It doesn't have to be in a box, in a career, in a certain direction, And so then I just quite happily own, like next week I'm speaking at the Catholic Ladies College about entrepreneurship. I'm here talking about brand strategy with you guys. And it might be confusing to people that want me to be in a little straight line, but that's cool because they're not my people. You know, if you don't want to come on the little firefly journey with me, then that's okay.
Absolutely love it, Kath. I want to ask you something because we've asked it of Maddie and of Kiara, our earlier two guests, and so it would only be fair we ask you as well.
Yeah.
Kath, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to at the moment? What's got Lightning Kath kind of ticking over? What are you doing for self-care even? We just want to know what you're doing when you're not wowing a room full of people where you very much definitely belong, Kath.
Oh, thanks so much. I want more of that. Any speaking opportunities on my way. I just love inspiring people. It's funny because I'm actually not, other than the visualization stuff, I'm not excellent at self-care and taking time out to, you know, like I'm kind of wherever my light's on, it's on. But a couple of weeks ago, actually just the night that I broke this baby, I was lying in front of our gorgeous new, we've got a nice new pool in our house and it's a very nice little area. And I was sitting out there having a beer, listening to Brené Brown's last 2 episodes of Unlocking Us. And she was talking to her sister, it's on Spotify podcast, and she was talking to her sister about living a big life, which I think many women here would probably listen to before, but it's the first time I've listened to a lot of her stuff, but I hadn't heard that one. And what she says by big, which is, I just love the really simple acronym, is what boundaries do I have to have in place in order to be in integrity with myself so I can be generous with you? And I just thought, because it was all about, are people doing their best? Like, do we fundamentally believe that people show up doing their best? And she did a big study on it, and it was just so interesting because we've got some family dynamics where I often wonder if some of the people in my family are actually doing their best. And I listen to it, trying to get over like dealing with my dad. And I'm like, okay, so I'm listening to this, and you know, it actually just brought it back to me and back into my control of like, okay, so what boundaries do I need to have in place in order to be in integrity with myself, to be generous with you? This is your best. What do I need to do? You know? And it really landed with me because so often we're quick to criticize how people handle things, you know, have a little bitch over the water cooler about this or that. But, you know, we just never know what someone else is going through and where they're at. And where you can take self-responsibility for being in that situation or not being in that situation. I just think the world would be a better place if we just took a little bit more self-responsibility. So I loved that one. Last 2 episodes of Unlocking Us, highly recommend.
Fantastic. Lightning Kath Clark, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you. We know that you did switch your travel plans around to join us today. And we are so bloody grateful that you did. It's such a pleasure to have you. We have no doubt that you will be back again sometime soon. Happy International Women's Day.
You too, lovelies. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Kath. Have a great day.
Taran.
Spicer. Oh.
Out to watch